What's up, crew? Hey, Mason and Austin here. We're about to play a little game of Jeopardy, but we got some spice to it. So, Avery, if you'll go ahead and come up here and show everybody what we got. So basically, you can see it says 1 egg, 2 egg, and 3 egg. So if we guess 1 egg and we get it right, we get 1 point. But if we get it wrong, we're gonna get pelted with 1 egg. So it's quite simple. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So first category, Austin, I'm gonna let you go ahead and choose whatever category you want.
All right, let's do science.
Science for how many eggs?
2 eggs.
Science for 2 eggs.
Science for 2 eggs.
Science for 2 eggs. Here we go. What's the question?
Are you ready?
Yes.
What planet is second from the sun?
Venus.
Correct!
Oh, dang it. So Austin gets 2 points. All right. I'm gonna take. You know what? My best subject's math. So let's do math for 3 eggs.
Math for 3 eggs.
All right.
Let's do it. Is 8,128 a perfect number? Yes or no?
What is the perfect number?
What is a perfect number?
You know what a perfect number is? That's like easy stuff.
An even number, right?
Okay. Is 8,000? I'm gonna say no, it's not.
No. You are wrong.
Wrong! I just got pelted by 17 eggs and none of them broke. So let's hope our throwers get a little better. So here's the next question, Austin. What category would you like?
Let's do math for 2 eggs.
Math for 2 eggs. Big money, big money, big money.
All right. Here's the question. Is 45 a prime number?
Yes.
Incorrect.
You know what? I'm a social media guru. I want social media for 3 eggs.
Okay, social media for 3. Let's do it. What is the largest global social networking app?
I'm gonna say Facebook.
Correct.
Facebook
Let's
it
Let's do science for 3.
Science
For 3.
eggs.
Good choice. Good
Here's
choice.
your question. How fast can a honeybee fly?
How do you not know this?
Like 10 miles per hour.
Incorrect.
That hurt.
Let's do social media for 1.
Okay, social media.
All right. Which social network does not provide users with selfie filters? So if you were to post a selfie, which social media network does not provide filters?
Facebook.
Incorrect. The correct answer is Twitter.
Okay. It actually really stings. Just left. I want science for 1 egg.
Okay.
Only 1 egg. Does everybody understand?
Yes.
1 egg. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
How many breaths does a human take in one day?
Just hit me.
The answer is 23,000.
How did I not know that? All right, Austin. Last question.
Let's
Social
go.
media for 2 eggs.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Facebook was originally targeted at which demographic of users?
College students.
Yes.
Correct.
I got ear hole.
And we're out. So you guys just saw me get pelted with eggs. Really embarrassing, but I love it. We're about to head to Mint to mingle though, so do me a favor. If you're watching online, drop an emoji in the chat. You guys just... Avery, really? You're coming? Alright. So you guys just saw me get hit with eggs, and I think I actually won trivia. Maybe not. Who knows? But we're about to head to Mint to mingle, so if you're at the house crew, get up and give some elbow bumps. If you're watching online, drop an emoji in the chat. We love you guys.
I can't look at Mason's face when he does it.
Oh, yeah, don't look at my face. It's just terrible. All right, here we go.
I knew you were gonna
I looked at Acock that time and he lost
stop
it.
laughing.
1 hour later.
Was that loud enough?
2 hours later.
Hey guys, welcome to Crew. We are so excited that you are joining us, whether you are watching online or whether you are at a house crew right now. This is not how we normally do Crew. Usually we have one person that's speaking a message, but we made an important announcement last week, and so we're going to get to talk a little bit more about that. If I've never had the chance to meet you, my name is Bree, and I get to serve on our student team. I get to coordinate Leadership U here and serve at our ARAB campus. And here with me, I have Taylor, who is our Jasper student coordinator, and then I have Mason, who coordinates students at the Coleman campus. And so we made a big announcement last week. We have a summer program called Leadership U, and I know this is new to our Hayden campus. You guys have launched within the year. And so really what Leadership U is, we as a student team, we just want to give students an avenue to grow in their leadership, to grow in spirit, soul, and body. You've both been through Leadership U, and the big announcement was we're not able to offer our full Leadership U program, but that does not mean that it's canceled this summer. And so we're going to be taking the LU experience and combining it into 3 action-packed days. And we've got a lot of fun planned. We're going to challenge you guys. We want you to grow. But more than anything, we just want you to discover who you are and who God has called you to be. And so we're super excited, but Taylor, I want to start with you. Tell us a little, you've gone through Leadership U. Tell us, what year did you go through Leadership U, and what was your biggest takeaway from Leadership U?
So I think the biggest takeaway for me was really how short of a time that students can grow. Like, I grew so much from when I first started to at the end of it. Like, I just had no idea that just one summer I could be a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I think it's really because of the leadership and all of the people that were consistently pouring into me all summer. Like, I remember sitting back there with you multiple times during prayer and you just saying, like, hey, I believe in you and I know you can do this, so I'm going to push you to do this. And it was consistently like that through the summer. So going into Leadership U, like, I really thought I was just mature. I was like, oh man, like, you know, I'm it. Like, I'm so mature, and I was most definitely not. And I realized that quickly, but you barely even knew me. You can't even say anything.
Yeah, I know. If you know, you know.
But I think you are a walking testament as being in leadership. I remember you coming into Leadership U, and I remember sitting before the Lord being like, Lord, this girl Taylor.
Help this child.
But to sum up your journey, it's summed up by growth.
Yeah.
I have honestly never had to sit someone down and have so many hard conversations.
The amount of times I got,
You
hey,
cried every time.
Oh, everyone knows I cry at literally everything. So 100% I cried.
But it's just a testament to, you have people in your life that love you, and I could see your potential, and I could see you sitting where you're at today. And I don't know if you could see yourself here, but
Absolutely
you
not.
took each of those conversations and you applied it to your life. And that's what leadership to me is all about. It's growing every single day. It's not saying today I'm going to be the best, but saying today I'm going to get better. And so I think, you know, this is just, you're seeing the fruit of all of your hard work and taking those hard conversations and applying them to your life.
Yeah, because that's kind of a pivotal point. Like, if you're gonna have a hard conversation, you're either gonna be hurt and you're gonna take a step back, or you're gonna grow from it. And I think just every time I realized that you were for me and that I wanted to grow from it. So I think that's why I was able to grow so much during Leadership U, was because I knew that everybody here was so for me and wanted me to be the best that I could be.
Yeah. Well, Mason, tell us a little bit about your Leadership U journey. What year did you go through it? Why don't you share a funny story about Leadership U?
I went through Leadership U in 2016, and there's a lot of funny stories I could tell, but I would say one of my favorite, every Thursday we would do something called team challenges, team building. Yeah, you build teams. And, so we start out with this game, and we divided our squad up into 2 teams, and so we start out with this game, And Bree tells me I'm the first person to put an orange right here between my neck. And something you may not know about me, I don't like my neck or face being touched. I'm not kidding. If you touch my neck or face tonight, I will punch you in the face. And so I don't like my neck or face being touched. And so I have this orange right here, and like I'm just already cringing because there's an orange there. And she says, you're going to pass it to the person beside you, and they're going to get it with their neck. And so automatically, like, my worst nightmare
normal.
just came true. Like, I have to do this, and another human has to come close to my neck and take the orange from me. And so I look at the guy beside me. His name's Jordan Aycock. He set this whole thing up. He's here right now. I love him. And I'm like, dude, I don't like people touching my neck. Like, do not touch my neck. He said, I don't either. And I was like, okay, we're good on this. And like, we both had a little scruff on our face. So I just know, like, I'm cringing right now thinking about it. And so the game starts, and then the other team's just out the gate, like going fast. And I'm like creeping up to Jordan like this, and Jordan's creeping up to me the same way. And I remember, like, we try to pass it to him and we fail. And I'm squeezing so hard, there's orange juice all over my body. Like,
my God.
It was disgusting. I was sticky the rest of the day. And so, like, we try to do it again, and we fail. And, like, the other team's already on, like, their third activity. And our team's yelling at me and Jordan, like, just do it. And we're like, we can't. Like, we can't do this. We forfeit. Like,
I think
whatever.
y'all even swapped up at one point. Like,
Yeah.
someone was like, just give me the orange.
We
and-
had to swap up so many times.
Yeah.
We had to like swap our
Yeah.
teams.
And I was super prideful. I was like, no, like, me and Jordan are
We
doing
can
this.
do
So
this.
finally, one time, like, I creep up to him, and he creeps up to me. And as orange juice is, like, running down both of us, he
Ew.
somehow gets it, and he's like, ah, like finally got it. And then he had to go through the same thing, passing it to the next person. So it was terrible. But it definitely taught us a lot about our fears and conquering them, and a very traumatic experience in my life.
What
So-
an interesting fear.
Well, there are so many things like that we do with Leadership U that honestly it's to grow you, but it ends up being for my entertainment.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
wish I could
Yeah.
just sit back and video. If you know Leadership U at all, like if you've ever been blindfolded or
Put in a
anything
van
like that, I
and
don't
then
want
take
to
it to
ruin
the middle
anything.
of the woods, you know.
I
just
don't want to
happens.
ruin anything. But it really is. Mason, I actually have a surprise for you today.
Okay.
Somehow I knew that when I asked you a funny story about Leadership U, that would be the most memorable one.
Yes.
That or the time that you showed no mercy to your team.
Let's not talk about that one.
Mason's a new creation.
He is. But I have a surprise for you. You are here. Jordan is here behind the sound and the camera.
Jordan, run.
I noticed you have a little bit of scruff, May.
I do.
You're
I haven't
sporting
shaved
the
in like
scruff.
6 years. It's coming in.
Jordan's sporting the beard back there.
Yeah, he is.
And so here's what I have. I have a ball. It's not an orange. I took the juice away from you. I think. What do you
Jordan's
think,
nodding
crew?
his head.
I think we should
He's
see
like-
them reenact this.
I completely
Go for it,
agree.
May.
All right.
You can do it.
Oh, like a little T-Rex, like,
Oh. Oh.
do it.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, they look like little T-Rexes. Like, ah!
Wow. That was just excruciating. But Bree,
Not in
Just-
your top 5 moments.
just stop. Just you do your thing.
Yeah, well, let's continue. So, Taylor, you have been in leadership now. You went through in 2017, and so from the time you went through Leadership U, you've completed Desperation College. You are now hired on staff and leading a whole campus with student ministry. And so, just tell us really briefly, what does the word leadership mean to you? What do you think leadership is?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, when I first started Leadership U, I thought leadership was a platform. Because whenever you see people leading, like you see them standing on stage, so I was just like, that's cool. Like, I want to do
Yeah.
that. Like, I want to be on stage. Quickly came to realize, like, that's not what leadership is. Honestly, leadership to me is influence.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that anywhere you are, you can be standing in a parking lot. You can be standing literally in Walmart. And as long as you have influence with the person you're talking to, you have leadership.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing for me when I really understood what leadership was when I was hanging around all of the students that I had. I realized, I was like, okay, like, I have influence with these students, which means I have leadership. It doesn't mean I have to be standing on a stage, or it doesn't mean I have to have a mic in my hand. Like, I just have personal conversations with these kids, and I have
Yeah.
influence in their lives.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so Taylor mentioned that leadership is influence. And without a doubt, the most influential person to ever walk this earth is Jesus. I mean, over 2,000 years later, he still has millions of followers all over the world. And so, Mason, what do you think it was about Jesus that made him the most influential leader?
So, I mean, obviously there's a million things I could say all throughout the Bible, but I would say the one thing that really like separates Jesus from every other leader for me is kind of a concept he had that I don't think anybody before him ever had, and that's servant leadership. Like, you had never heard of a leader, a king serving his people. Jesus, we see this beautiful picture of him washing the disciples' feet, and they're basically like, no, like like Peter says, you're not going to wash my feet, and he's like, well, unless I wash your feet, like, you're not going to inherit the kingdom of God. And Peter says, okay, well, wash my whole body then. And so Jesus basically took this concept that the king should be served, and he took it upon himself to say, you know what, I'm going to serve you. And I think as Christians, that's what true leadership is, because if you're not willing to serve, then you're not willing to be a leader either, because we have to be willing to be the people that aren't too good, aren't too big. Hey, I'm never too high up to talk to somebody. I'm never too big to walk past somebody. I'm never too big to pick up the piece of trash in the parking lot. Like, I think Jesus just really, he kind of instilled that principle. I really think he invented that principle. You never hear about it in the history books, like a king coming down and washing people's feet. And so I really think that's the principle that Jesus kind of invented, and he kind of passed along to us. And so I think as Christians, servant leadership is so important. Hey, if you're too big to serve, then you're too small to lead. Like, that is a 100% fact. And so we just have to come to that realization that serving is literally our DNA, especially at Desperation Church. Like, our culture is serving. We're going to try to outserve you. Hey, you pick up a piece of trash for me, I'm going to pick up 2 for you every single time. And so I think that's really what Jesus did that separated him from other leaders. That's what separated him from other kings, because he left his throne in heaven where he was sitting by God. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm chilling with God every day, there's a good chance I'm not leaving. He stepped down to earth and was a carpenter. Like, picture that. You go from sitting by God to being a carpenter, and then he washes people's feet. Washing people's feet was the lowest of the low in this time period. Look, these people were probably barefoot, walking around in the Middle East all day. You think your feet stink? You might be right. These people's feet were disgusting. All kinds of athletes' feet and funguses and warts, and I could go into a lot more detail, but I won't. But he literally washed their feet, and it's such a beautiful picture of what we should do as Christians. I'm not saying go wash somebody's feet today, because I probably won't, because feet gross me out too. Y'all are just learning all about me. But what I am saying is we have to get to this place of serving, because I really believe leadership is influence, and leadership is serving too. Leadership is saying, hey, I'm not too big for this. I'm not too good for this. I'm willing to serve whoever. And that's what made Jesus who he was.
Yeah,
so.
You gotta be willing to go low. And Jesus was the ultimate example of this. It's like you said, he left sitting to the right hand of the Father to come down and to be a carpenter, to be mocked, to be cast out. And that's really what leadership is about. And so I think it is every day waking up and saying, how can I serve others today? And what you'll learn is that through serving others, you're really learning leadership. And so, Taylor, let's say that some of these students are starting to grasp this concept. Like, they're starting to serve their friends and their peers and their family, because sometimes it's hard, but you need to serve even your mom and dad. And so they are starting to serve and starting to discover leadership. But the Bible says that we have a very real enemy, and he is out to steal, to kill, and destroy. And so what do you think are a few of the lies, or maybe even the biggest lie that the enemy is going to tell these students as they start trying to lead and serve?
So I remember when I first heard about LU, I didn't really know what it was, but I just remember everyone saying, oh, you have to do it like it's the best summer ever. And I had actually already had a plan to go back to Birmingham to be a nanny. And
a
nanny.
A young nanny.
A young nanny. Yeah, that was interesting.
Those
Kept
poor kids.
the kids alive. That's all that matters.
That's what she says about Jasper. Somehow every week I keep the kids alive.
I mean, I haven't killed anybody yet, but I remember people finally talking to me about it. I remember the first time I ever met you was in Carmos, because I want to talk about leadership to you, because everyone's like, you have to do this. And so when I finally was like, okay, like I actually think I'm gonna, not do this nanny job and go through leadership U, immediately the enemy was saying, oh, you're not a leader. Like, you can never be a leader. And I remember even talking to some of my friends, And they were like, hey, I think this is great, but that's not your calling. Like, I don't think you're ever going to be in a leadership position. Like, I just don't think that's what you're made for. And so the enemy completely used that. And there was a couple weeks that I just sat in my room and cried because I knew that the Lord was calling me to leadership you, but I also knew the enemy was telling me that I wasn't meant to be a leader and that I wasn't made for it and that I would never be able to do it. So I think that there's so many students that just think that they can't be leaders because the enemy is going to put that in their head when they're called to leadership, that they're not good enough, that they don't have enough influence, that, you know, they don't have all the things that these leaders need, when in all honesty, that's the reason you're coming to Leadership U, is to develop all of those skills and assets to become that leader. And the enemy knows that, so he's going to tell you you can't do that in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so piggybacking off that a little bit, Mason, what would you say to a student who is on the other side of this screen right now, and that's what the enemy's attacking them with, telling them you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, you'll never be a leader. So to a student who's on the other side of the screens wondering, can I be a leader, what would you tell them?
So I automatically go to 1 Timothy 4:12, and it says, let no one look down on you because you are young.
Yeah.
And so I think we have this misconception that we have to get to this certain age or this certain place and then we'll be a leader. Like, no, that's not true at all. Like, you're a leader right now. And so really what leaders do is they just take what God has given them and they steward it well. They use it well. So whether it's leading worship, or it's speaking from a stage, or it's greeting in the parking lot, or it's encouraging someone, I think leaders just take what God has given them and they use it to, like, advance his kingdom. And so I would say you are a leader. I think every single human that's ever been born is a leader, but I don't think every single human learns that they are a leader. And so you know right now that you are a leader, right? I think the best way to step into that, the best way to learn how you can step into your calling is to do Leadership U. Like, there's no doubt about it. I will 100% attest to where I'm at today, like youth pastor, because of Leadership U. Because if I had never done it, I would have never have known that I have a God calling on my life. Like, I have this thing that I want to step into. And so I would tell you 100% you're a leader. You just may not have discovered why yet. You just may not have discovered, hey, how you're going to lead. Hey, you could do weight room ministry. You could do ministry at the park, whatever that looks like. And so 100%, I think it's inside of everyone. I just don't think everyone accesses it. And so I think one of the biggest disasters you could run into is knowing that you are a leader but not knowing why. Knowing that you are a leader but not knowing how to use it. And so I would say 100%, like, the thing to do is Leadership U. Not because of the fun you're going to have or anything like that, but because I promise you it can jolt you into your calling. It can reveal to you things that you're supposed to do that you don't even know yet, because it's going to challenge you, it's going to humble you, it's going to push you. If I learned anything, it's going to humble you. Like, I remember we did our end of the summer evaluations, and Molly Harden was in mine, who absolutely no mercy. Molly, I love it. She looked me straight in the eyes and she said, you wasted the first 3 weeks of your summer. And I was like, okay, like, what do you mean? She said, you just weren't ready. Like, you weren't mentally prepared yet. You came in and you were too good and you were prideful. And I was like, oh, my whole life just got destroyed. But it was so good, and it humbled me. It pushed me. Like, we live in a society where, like, it's tough to have hard conversations because you don't want to offend somebody. But what I would say is those things make us better. Like, I'm better because of it. If nobody had ever told me, like, I would still be in that same place. I remember the first time I ever spoke on stage, I sent it to one of my friends, and I wanted to impress him, like, look at what I did, you know. And he said, wow, you pace a lot. And, like, that was his only response. I was like, okay, like, I didn't know what to do. But if he had never told me, I would be running from side to side on stage right now. Like, and so we got to
probably be in better shape.
Yeah, for sure. I would have abs for sure. Like, thanks a lot, Ben. It's fine. But yeah, I would say 100%, like, go for it. Like, be willing to take a chance, take a risk. Your parents are going to love the fact that you want to grow in your leadership. And so I would say go for it.
Yeah. So Taylor, what would you say? Think back to where you were at, coming into Karma's Coffee that day to meet with me. It's intimidating. Leadership can be super intimidating because it is challenging. It is going to grow you, and honestly, it's going to refine you. You're going to come into these LU days, and you're going to have times of prayer, and you're going to be able to sit before the Lord, and He's going to say, hey, Bree, this pocket of pride that you've been harboring, I'm ready to pull it out of you. You know, you're going to have the hard conversations out of love where someone's going to say, hey, you have so much potential, but if you don't change this, it's going to hold you back. And those conversations with the Lord and with people who love you, they're intimidating. But being on this side of it and seeing the benefit, what would you tell a student who's intimidated by LU, but you know that if they do it, they'll reap the benefits and walk in who God's called them to be?
I've actually seen personally, like, we did JV LU last summer
Yes.
last
And
summer
we're
for
doing
the
it
first time.
again.
Yes.
JV
Shout out JV.
LU
Do it,
days
yes.
are
Let's
back.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
But
I'm just kidding.
Mason loves
I
JV.
really do. You guys are great. Take a shower though.
But I personally saw, like a lot of the JV kids that went through LU are some of the best leaders
Yes.
that I have
Yeah.
ever seen.
100%.
Yeah.
Literally, I've ever seen. And they were scared going into it. I know they were. I mean, some of them were probably like, woo, fun summer. Like, not. And then, they come
Yeah.
and realize, like, they actually have to, like, do things and,
Yeah.
like, work at their leadership. But I know that so many of them were so scared, but seeing the outcome of the leadership, literally, I was talking to Mason yesterday. And I was just like, why Buchanan could take either one of our jobs right now if he wanted to. And he's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But because he's like so good in his leadership and the way he walks in his leadership, and Leadership U is going to pull that all out of you. But yes, it is intimidating because it's new and it's leadership. But something that I would say is leadership is also fun.
Yeah.
Like going into the summer, like you're gonna have so much fun, and it's not gonna be this. Oh, you sit there and cry. I mean, I did because I'm Taylor. But
You might cry.
you might cry a couple times. Me, it was just every day, but that's totally normal. But Leadership U is fun. Like
Yeah.
it was. Everybody says it's the best summer of your life, and I was like, everybody says that about everything, but it literally is the best summer of your life. Even if it's just for these 3 days, if you were on the fence, I will tell you right now, like you would regret it if you didn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, like this is the most opportune time to do it because it's only 3 days. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many things, like there's so many reasons why people can't do it because of sports and school and like summer school stuff that's going on. But now, since it's the most accessible it's ever been,
Yeah.
like you said, and there's no reason to not jump into it
Yeah.
and do it, because it will literally be one of your best yeses, because it will grow you and who you are, and it'll push you and it'll refine you. But you're also you don't want to be stagnant in where you're sitting in.
Yeah.
So that's what I would encourage them with, is that if they feel like they're stagnant and just wanting to sit there instead of just sitting on TikTok on your phone all day, which is what I would do, take the 3 days of the summer and push yourself and grow yourself, and you are gonna have a lot more fun than you would be sitting on your phone on TikTok, and I promise you that.
100%.
Yeah. Well, Leadership U exists because honestly, we believe in the next generation, and it is a heartbeat straight from our lead pastor. And we believe in you. We know that you have a purpose, and all three of us can agree our students are outpacing us. You guys are going to go and do way more than we could ever think or dream or imagine. You're way ahead of where I was at. I started walking with the Lord when I was 19, wholeheartedly diving in. And that's why Leadership U exists. For the longest time, we didn't offer JV. And I remember Pastor Andy coming to me saying, hey, we got to get something for the middle school kids. Hey, like I'm telling you. And it has been, Mason has asked me every day, when are the 8th graders moving up to high school crew? Because you guys are,
I want you.
you guys are phenomenal, and that's why Leadership U exists. And so that's why we weren't just content to say we're not going to be able to have Leadership U this summer. And so that's why the LU days exist. We really are. It's going to be action-packed days. We have a lot of fun planned. We really are going to try our best to give you the full Leadership U experience in just 3 short days. If nothing else, we will have live worship for sure.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to
Let's
be
go.
back. But I want to remove any barriers. And so if you're watching and you're a student ages 12 to 22, you can sign up for these LU days. They're happening July 7th, July 14th, and July 21st. Go to desperationstudents.com and read about the LU days.
Yep.
But hey, just to remove any barriers, there is a little bit of a cost. Lunch is going to be included. But if you're sitting there saying, hey, finances are an issue, please, please, please email students@desperationchurch.tv. We don't want finances to hold anyone back from walking in who God has called them to be.
Yeah.
And so we are for you guys. We love you guys. And we believe in you, and we want to see you go and change the world. And so thank you so much for listening. Do y'all have anything else that you want to say?
It's gonna be the best summer of your lives.
Love you.
We'll see you guys later. Peace.